for unproductivity and giving it extra nitrogen. And that kept the forest healthy for 1 million years. Just mulch, dead things, constant. Visualize that, it's easy to do.
Is that the reading you got in both piles or just the one?
So,
The reading that you got here, which pile was it in both?
the two piles,
Both piles? You got a reading of wet?
they read the same.
They were the same.
Yeah, as far as that good question I'm about to take. They read exactly the same. As far as the temperature and moisture, they were the same. So make a difference. Yeah, I forgot to tell you that. So the best thoughts is one you get the easiest, the most of the cheapest.
Do you recommend organic? Do you recommend organic mulch?
Well, if you can get organic mulch, sure, definitely. You don't want one that has poison sprayed on it. You know, usually they'll do just get where they prune on their power line, something's natural, probably be organic. If you can't, usually nature, most chemicals put out there, they don't have lead in it or some heavy metal. Nature can break it down by nature. It's the heavy metals that nature can't break down. Maybe in 1,000 years we don't have that much time to break. Yeah, if you got any questions, speak up. One day the ambient temperature was 104 degrees in the afternoon, so I took a thermometer and I stuck it in the bare soil. And the soil was hard, I could only get it in about an inch deep, the thermometer still there. See how hot bare soil is? 120 degrees. Now I know why my feet burn when I was running around in the bare sand, barefoot. Then I stuck that thermometer to either mulch spot, 85 degrees. You'll see it got 4 inches of mulch and keep the constant moisture, pepper out, constant temperature. And that mulch is decomposing or composting at the soil level. You got all those beneficial bacteria, the earthworms, and microbacteria and everything. And then when it rains, the rain filters through that mulch. It gets down to the bottom of that mulch and it collects the nutrients for the compost heap and leaches it down into the wormholes and it filters out in the root zone, and the fresh water eventually goes on down and drips into the aquifer. The best place to store water is in the soil, not in the lake. Our evaporation rate here is like 66 inches a year. Kind of foolish to store it in the lake. It needs to be stored underground so it can drip into our aquifer. And then we can pump it back clean. And everybody is what's mowing their lawns tall. So you stop the evaporation, let the drippings rain, and you mulch everything. And you need less water, and you need capture a lot of water. Pretty simple. They're doing this mainline agriculture also, but this is no-till agriculture. They use the mild herbicide to knock down the previous crop, which was mild. After the mild was combined, this guy was praying for rain because he wanted a lot of weeds and everything to grow, and then when it's time to plant in next year, he would use the mild herbicide over the top of the weeds, kill them all down. And when the rains are dead, then he got a special planter. It's like a big piece of cutter, cuts through that stuff. And there's another little disc right behind the big disc, and it opens those burrows, say, half inch wide, 2 inches deep, or however deep you want to drop the seed. Then there's another wheel with knobs on it, presses the soil back against the seed. These guys will make a crop. In a dry year, the neighbor on either side has complete crop failure. This guy takes money to the bank. Again, he's working with nature. Nature keeps the soil moist. Nature never turns the soil upside down with an old wood plow. Pretty simple. If you don't know what to do, study nature, see what you've been doing for a good year. There's a different field. Another farmer doing the same thing. I give talks all over the country now, almost all over the world. And I went to talk in North Texas, and I found his wife asked Bill and I to spend the night at their house. So that's a whole lot better than going to Holiday Inn. Anyway, girls fixed supper. We got to eat, they did the dishes, then we sat around the table talking. All of a sudden, the housewife jumped up and went and got the picture. She showed him that picture. I said, my gosh, lady, you're talking about a little bit. She said, that's not our cotton. That's neighbor's cotton right there across that dirt road. She said, here's our cotton. 60 feet away. I said, yeah, but you irrigate. He said, no, nobody around here irrigates. So I asked this farmer, I said, you're going to have to explain to me. He said, well, I graduated from A&M, attended school there. He said, we were doing fair. He said, one good day I was studying the books in my office, and I saw production costs going up and up, but production was going down, down, down. He said, I drew this to attention to my pop, and he said, son, you better find a better way to farm. So he started looking at all the snake oil and fruit dust and the stuff, organic stuff, pretty well. They weren't organic. And he tried them, they all did some good. Anyway, this one guy brought him some stuff and said, spray your cotton with this. And I think it'll do some good. So he did. And it didn't do much good. So the guy came back and said, did you do what I told you? He said, I sprayed. He said, did you put molasses or sugar with it when you sprayed? He said, no. One of the neighbors would laugh at me. He said, well, the stuff I had you spraying with were beneficial microbes. These microbes are capable of fixing nitrogen directly out of the air. They don't need to be living on a roof, a lagoon. They're not on a lagoon. They can take nitrogen straight out of the air. However, this microbe needs an energy source. So you need to feed it molasses and sugar. He said, let's start doing that. And then after about 4 or 5 years, it's gotten better and better and better. And pretty soon, when the neighbor in the whole country is looking like that, these pictures were taken maybe 30 seconds apart, just across the dirt roads from each other. This guy's working with nature. This guy's working against nature. That guy plowed deep, turned the soil upside down. He's wasting all the carbon through the air, wasting all the moisture. This guy here don't. He chopped up that cotton plant and then runs across it with a disc harrow and chopped that cotton plant into about an inch of soil after deep little goes. And then later on, after a few rains, he goes in with the right equipment to bed that soil up. That's got that, the old cotton plant. And he plants in there. And he makes it come over here, and the neighbors come to him, just look at them and shake their head, but they won't change. I had to know about that cotton. What's doing it? So I went into those fields and dug up soil and sent those soils to 2 labs to make sure I did a good test. And when the 4th test came back, as far as NPK, minors, and traces, it's almost equal. Didn't tell me anything. Equal. Well, I had another man named Dr. Don Martin. Him and I were giving talks out at UCLA years ago, and he was a microbial specialist. You see that little bitty pine tree? You see those 2 white arrows? Everything outside those 2 white arrows is a mycorrhizal fungi. This fungi grows into the root of the plant and steals carbohydrates. See, that plant is up in sunlight with green chlorophyll, manufacturing carbohydrates. That fungi is underground, but it needs an energy source. So it steals energy from that plant. And then it goes out into the soil naturally and collects nutrients and moisture and feeds the plant with a symbiotic association. The microbes, all that fungus, all that life. Dr. Ingram tells me there's like 10,000 different species of microbes in the soil that are dependent on the plant roots to give them the carbohydrates that they need to grow their food. And in return, all of these microbes, fungi, whatever it is, does something to help that plant. So it's like a big city going on around. Everything is helping everything is helping everything. They're all working together until we mess it up with herbicides, too much overkill, high amount of fertilizer, and have no carbon. Make sense? We lived on that first little farm for 11 years. I had 23 trees, 60 palm trees. Oh, this place was beautiful. It was in a creek bottom, really good soil. We got a lot of publicity. Everybody was coming out to take pictures. And the extension service, that's when they told me it wasn't practical on our neighbors. Well, we moved like the next people. Well, we moved in August, September, I put in a salad garden. put in the salad garden in the belt. I bedded about 4 rows, about 20 feet long, and I mixed lettuce, carrots, beets, parsley, stuff like that, and I planted right on top of the beds. The little planted unit. Well, the plants came up and stopped. They wouldn't grow an inch more. Then I knew how poor that old field was.